Israel's right to defense. Yes, Israel has the right to defend itself. Every country does. But Israel has no right to impose an occupation on people. And I saw the news about the Elgin marbles being returned and how you changed your mind about that. Well, how about returning the land that's been stolen from the Palestinians?
Hello guys, and welcome to this new video. In today's video we're gonna react on the debate between Piers and Gabor Mate. Gabor Mate, known as a trauma, stress and childhood development expert. He has a lot of studies going through regarding this phase, and he is a renowned addiction expert as well as a speaker. So stay tuned and let's jump in.
What is your overall assessment of where this war is now heading?
Here, Piers is asking Gabor Mate about the Israel-Hamas or Palestinian conflict and asking about his thoughts, where things are headed. And let's find out what Gabor Mate would respond to it.
For that, you need some historical context. Now look, I used to be a Zionist. As you mentioned, I'm a Holocaust survivor. Zionism was very important for me as a salvation of the Jewish people.
That's really great. So here, Gabor Mate is admitting that he used to be a Zionist and Jewish thing was very important for him. So now we're knowing that this is someone who had that bond with Israel.
So I'm taking a longer view of this. And I'm saying that the present situation cannot be understood without looking at the historical context, and nor can we move forward if the present occupation and the suppression of the Palestinians continue.
That's really very logical, rational, and smart response from Gabor Mate. We cannot consider answering a question without taking into consideration the history of the thing, what was really there. Before that, we get into discussing what we think about right now just because of what we've seen at a certain moment. Let's continue.
Sharon, your previous guest, talked about the fragile coexistence. There was no coexistence. There was oppression, periodic massacres, land occupation in the West Bank, the continuous expulsion of the population from their homes.
That's it. Gabor Mate is giving us an overview of what's really going on and what have been there. Occupation, oppression, and we all agree because we've all have witnessed that throughout the years over the Palestinian case and over the Palestinian citizens, how they were literally deprived from their rights, especially on the Gaza Strip.
I visited the occupied territories 3 times now. The first time back during the first Intifada, Piers, I cried every day out for 2 weeks at what I saw. So this cannot go on.
That's really so emotional. I mean, if you could just see Gabor Mate, how he's feeling about the case and how he's expressing his words, getting too emotional regarding what he have witnessed. He's not lying, he's not telling us lies, of course, and I believe you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think about Gabor's reaction at the first of the interview. Let's continue.
And I saw the news about the Elgin marbles being returned and how you changed your mind about that. Well, how about returning the land that's been stolen from the Palestinians?
Wow. How about returning the land that was stolen from the Palestinians? Piers, you should have answered.
I'm not talking about the state of Israel. I'm not talking about 1948. I'm talking about since 67 and what's going on right now. So there's got to be some stop to what's going on, and that's how I understand it.
And here he's making points and he's being clear about which period exactly he's talking about.
No,
this is for the sake of both Israelis and Palestinians.
Yes, I completely agree with you. This is a never-ending cycle.
Piers believes that this is a never-ending cycle, of course. As soon as things are really going this way, not really finding a solution between both sides, it's not going to end. When you take others' land, how can you think that you will live in peace? You've been oppressing them for years, and now you're waiting just to get peace from these people. It's their lands, it's their homes, and no one would ever accept to be oppressed and taken their rights from. Kids have been raised in wars. What are you waiting from them? It's their land. You should understand this. Let's continue watching.
I guess from the Israelis' point of view, what happened on October the 7th was on such a gigantically horrific scale. I do get a sense that Israel is in a collective sense of trauma.
Right. We've all witnessed what happened on October the 7th, and we didn't want that to happen. We're not justifying that what was done is something that should be done, actually. But still, you could have waited for it, as I discussed previously. Trauma for the Israeli people, of course. We never want both sides, civilians, to die. It's so sad to see women, children, elder people dying. It's this is war, not the right thing at the end of the road. And hopefully we will witness ceasefire, because we can just see more, especially over the Palestinians, over the Gaza Strip. People really dying every day, and especially children right there.
And that they are determined that Hamas should not be allowed to perpetrate such a massacre again.
Alright. Do you think that they won't make such a massacre, as you call it? Do you think that that was a way of defending themselves from the people who had just occupied the land, oppressed them, and took their rights? I'm not justifying what they did, but you better get to the history of things before just portraying on what just happened on the 7th of October.
And they are on record, Hamas, just 2 weeks ago, their spokesman are saying they would do it again and again and again if they can. So that represents a clear existential threat to the security of people in Israel.
Alright. Let's continue watching.
I think many would share my view that Israel has a right to defend itself. The question is, how do they do that appropriately? And how do they get rid of Hamas, if indeed you think they should get rid of Hamas?
Good question. Makes sense. Israel has the right to defend. Same for them. Might be a way of defense, actually, what they did, so they can get the right back. Let's keep watching.
You're raising many questions and many fair questions. Now look, I live in Canada, where this country was founded on the suppression, erasure of the indigenous population.
So here Gabor Mate is giving us another example from Canada. Let's see.
In Canada, for example, there are horrendous residential schools where a few decades ago, if a native child spoke their tribal language, they'd have a pin stuck in their tongue.
Oh my god, that's what they used to do in Canada, actually. And that's really terrifying, horrible.
Now, most Canadians are not aware of that history. Most Israelis are not aware of the history of what the Palestinians have suffered.
Wow, I get your point, Gabor. Makes a lot of sense.
They don't know that in 1948 there were multiple massacres of large numbers of people by Israeli forces. They don't know the history, the subjective experience of the Palestinians.
That is the worst thing ever that you could ever imagine. That when you don't know the suffering of the other side and you just keep blaming them, keep oppressing them, keep taking their rights and behaving like if it's your right to do so. Wow.
And in the absence of that knowledge, October 7th would just strike them as another horrific anti-Semitic event.
Actually, totally agree.
I understand the desire for defense and certainly even the desire for revenge, but that's in the absence of knowing what the Palestinian experience has been. And the Western press...
That's it. Totally right. Like, Gabor Mate is really straight to the point. I like his logic and... like, I'm so fascinated by the way he is just involving points regarding the matter and making things clear for Piers.
Israel's right to defense. Yes, Israel has the right to defend itself. Every country does. But Israel has no right to impose an occupation on people.
That's it. That's actually the thing. If Israel has the right to defend itself, does it have the right to occupy a land which is not of its own? Does it have the right to keep the oppression going on and maybe taking it to another level? What do you wait from those people? You wait them to be as peaceful as you think they will?
Now look, I was born in Hungary. In 1956, when I was 13, studying for Bar Mitzvah, there was the Great Hungarian Revolution against Soviet occupation.
Yeah, here another example from Hungary where he used to live, or... Yes, let's continue.
And it was after that revolution that we became refugees and came to Canada. Now, did Russia have the right to defend itself against the Hungarian revolutionaries?
Good question. He's raising a question again just to prove something.
You know, so, and mostly when we talk about Israel's right of defense, we're taking isolated Palestinian actions, but we're not saying this population also has the right to defend against the occupation. I'm not justifying the terrible events of October the 7th.
Yes, that's what I've been saying previously. They have all the right to defend themselves, of course, against this occupation. So, makes a lot of sense.
I'm talking in the absence of historical awareness. It all just looks like Israel defending itself. But against whom? Against the population that has been massacring in a number of thousands for 80 years.
Wow, for 80 years, that's so much. I like the way actually about Gabor Mate and how he's discussing the situation, especially involving history right there, and being too honest regarding the matter, even him being a Jewish man, especially he was a Zion. And really, we need people like this. We need people to say the truth. We need people to be honest with themselves before being honest with the world. And till now, Piers didn't have the chance to ask Gabor Mate if Hamas is a terror group. So, like he used to ask everybody in every debate he has with, and because surely he got the point right there.
And taking their lands and destroying their homes and jailing their children and torturing them. That's the history. Now, unless we know that, it all looks like this poor little country trying to defend itself. But against whom?
Wow, you said it all, Gabor Mate. It looks like that a country trying to defend itself. But the question that raised here is against whom? Against someone you've been occupying for too long? Against someone you've been torturing their children, their families, killing them, stopping them from making their prayers where they used to make it? Against someone who's there before even you was there? It's kind of crazy. Like, please people, like, manage to make more sense to things and get back to history. I wish that countries who are supporting firing back at Palestine to make up their minds and stand as one against what Israel is doing and how Israel is just went over the international laws and stop this genocide they're committing. It's not war, it's genocide. That's it. So guys, let us know what you think about this in the comment section below, and please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the ring bell for more content like this. So let's see you in another video, maybe with the second part of this debate of Gabor Mate versus Piers. Thanks for watching and see you in another video. Ciao.